All right, thanks, guys. We are currently 5-0 in our last 5 board member plays on patreon.com/BrockPage. We're also hitting at 65% for the entire college football season on that website. Link for that site is in the description section below. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. All right, guys, we got ourselves a nice little slate of college basketball here tonight, so let's go ahead and dive into it. Beginning with Winthrop taking on Hartford, and that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off at the Chase Family Arena. Winthrop is minus 3.5, totals at 153 and a hook. We saw a half a point move toward Winthrop and movement upward on the total. Winthrop open minus 3 up to 3.5. Total open 152 up to 153 and a hook. Right now, Hartford is plus 145 on the money line. I like Winthrop in this spot here. I am going to purchase the hook, buy it up, and take Winthrop plus 4 in the over 153.5 in that game. Next matchup, Presbyterian taking on Clemson, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off at the Little John Coliseum. The Tigers of Clemson are minus 18.5, total 139 and a hook. Saw a half a point move toward Clemson and movement downward on the total. The Tigers open minus 18 up to 18.5, total open 140 down to 139 and a hook. I think I'm going to follow the money on the sides here, although I do think this one will get over. I like Clemson scoring a good amount of points here, so I'm going to lean Tigers minus 18.5 and the over 139 and a hook in that game. Next matchup, Robert Morris Marshall, 7 o'clock Marshall. The Thundering Herd are minus 9.5, totals 150. We saw a half a point move toward Marshall, movement upward on the total. Thundering Herd open 9 up to minus 9.5, total open 149.5 up to 150. Pretty good matchup here at the Henderson Center. I do like Marshall getting the job done. Gonna pretty much lean toward a very chalky play here. I'm also going to buy the hook, so give me Marshall minus 9 and the over 150 in that game. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take another quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for Thursday's college basketball action. But before we get into some more of that, just want to quickly remind you once again to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. We do daily plays on that website beginning at just $1.99 per month. We have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages that you can subscribe to. We're currently 5-0 in our last 5 board member plays. That's a package that we offer on that website. We're also hitting at 65% on that site for the entire college football season. The main difference between my picks here on YouTube and my picks on Patreon is that on YouTube, we'll handicap the entire slate of games, both the side and the total. And guys, I got to be honest with you, that's no way to make money. The books are too good. The odds makers are too good. The math is against you. If you bet every single game on the slate, every side, every total, you will not win. You'll lose a lot of money. So what we do on Patreon is we narrow it down to about 2, 3, sometimes 4 and 5 personal premium selections. They're games that I personally have action on myself. And I'll tell you this much. My win percentage on Patreon is much, much better than my win percentage on YouTube handicapping every single game. So anyway, link for that site is in the description section below. You can also access my current record for free right on the homepage. All you got to do is click the link in the description section below. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some more lines of personal leans. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Bryant taking on Rutgers, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off at the Lewis Brown Athletic Center. Rutgers is minus 21, totals 143.5. We saw a half a point fade of Rutgers and movement downward on the total. The Scarlet Knights open 21.5 down to minus 21. Total open 144 down to 143 and a hook. I like the Scarlet Knights in this matchup here. I'm going to lean Rutgers minus 21 and the under 143.5 in that game. Next matchup, Kennesaw State taking on Drake. 8 o'clock tip-off at the Knapp Center. Drake's minus 15, total 146.5. Saw a half a point move toward Drake and movement upward on the total. Drake opened 14.5 up to minus 15. Total open 145 up to 146.5. Another chalky lean here. I guess they would call it a square play, but I do like the favorite in this matchup here. Give me Drake minus 15 and the over 146.5 in that game. Next matchup, UAB taking on Troy. 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. UAB's minus 7, total 139. We saw a half a point move toward Alabama Birmingham. We also saw movement downward on the total. UAB opened 6.5 up to 7. Total open 143.5 down to 139. 64% of the consensus are leaning toward UAB. 53% shaded toward the under. Right now, the Trojans of Troy are plus 265 on the money line. Now, Troy kind of finished the season last year on a down note. They lost 8 out of their last 10. They also failed to cover in 7 out of those 10 games. They're just 1-9 straight up in their last 10 head-to-head matchups with UAB, and they covered just 4 out of those 10 games. Now, Alabama Birmingham on the other side, they finished the season on a high note with regard to the spread. They covered 4 out of their last 5 games. They're also 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 at Troy. Now, total-wise, UAB is 8-1 to the under in their last 9, taking on the Trojans. I'm going to lean toward the favorite in this matchup here. Give me UAB minus 7 and the under 139 in that game. We're going to slide into our next matchup. It is going to be, not Ohio State. It's going to be Idaho State taking on Air Force, 9 o'clock Clune Arena. Air Force is minus 14.5, total 131. Pretty big move on this total. We actually saw a 5.5 point move downward on the total. We also saw movement toward Air Force in the early wagering. Air Force open 14 up to 14.5. Total open 136.5 all the way down to 131. 67% of the consensus are leaning toward Air Force. 70% shaded toward the under. Right now, Idaho State is plus 1,000 on the money line. Now, Idaho State kind of finished on a low note last year as well with regard to the number. They failed to cover in 8 out of their last 10. They're also just 1-7 straight up in their last 8 on the road. Once again, they lost 7 out of their last 8 straight up when traveling. Now, Air Force on the other side, 13-7 against the spread in their last 20 at home if you're into historical trends. When it comes to this total, Air Force is 3-0 to the under in their last trio of ball games. Of course, that was last season. Idaho State 5-3 to the under in their last 8. I'm going to purchase the half a point, slide it down, and take Air Force minus 14 and the under 131 in that game. And I'm going to slide my next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Seattle taking on Washington State, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off at the Wallace Beasley Performing Arts Coliseum. Washington State's minus 2.5, total 139 and a hook. A lot of movement in this one as well. We saw a 4.5 point move, a 3.5 point move downward on the total. We also saw a 1 point move toward Washington State in the early wagering. The Cougars open 1.5 up to minus 2.5. Total open 143 down to 139.5. Once again, that total open 143 down to 139.5. 66% of the consensus are leaning toward Washington State. 57% shaded toward the under. Right now, Seattle's plus $1.25 on the money line. Now, Seattle's failed to cover in 13 out of their last 18 games. They're also just 3-17 straight up in their last 20, taking on the Pac-12. Now, Washington State on the other side, 11-1 against the number in their last 12, taking on the Western Athletic Conference. When it comes to the total, Washington State, 80% to the under in their last 5. I'm going to purchase the half a point, buy it down, and take Washington State minus 2 and the under 139.5 in that game. All right, guys, let's go ahead and slide into our quick pick recap. Brought to you by patreon.com/Brock Page and the board member package. We're going to go ahead and lean Washington State minus 2 under 139.5. Air Force minus 14 under 131. Drake minus 15 over 146 and a hook. Rutgers minus 21 under 143.5. Marshall -9 over 150. Clemson -18.5 over 139 and a hook. Winthrop +4 over 153 and a hook. And last but certainly not least, we're going to lean toward UAB -7 in the under 139 in that game. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some shout-outs brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage and the board member package. Shout out to Billy Boogaloo, WHD Gaming, OCZYS, Triple M. Shout out to Jet Clinton, Ace Hardy, Ronnie Christie, Rocco Alvarez, Troy Lyon, Terrell Parrott, Melgod 206, Gerald Harris, Poetic Show, Saw Sensei Master, Drip Lord. Shout out to Vernon Williard, Mr. Adkins 1, Vinny Smooth, and last but certainly not least, shout out to Isaiah Morales. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Once again, don't forget to check me out on patreon.com/BrockPage, where we are 5-0 in our last 5 board member picks. We're also hitting at 63% for the entire college football season on that website. We do different plays on that site. They're premium personal plays of mine. We have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages beginning at just $1.99 per month. You can access my current record for free right on the homepage. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. Link for that site is in the description section below. Now, the difference between Patreon and YouTube is that on YouTube, we handicap every single game on the slate. We provide an opinion on a side and a total. Guys, that's no way to make money. You can't beat the books doing that, betting every single game, every single side, every single total. The math is against you. The books are too good. What we do on Patreon is we narrow it down. We focus 3, 4, sometimes 5 and 6 premium personal plays. And my record and my win percentage on Patreon is much, much better than my record on YouTube. So anyway, just wanted to explain the difference there. And you can check out my current record once again for free right on the homepage. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. But most importantly, guys, I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And don't forget to check me out on patreon.com/BrockPage.